Welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna paint a new painting and I'm talking about how you can 4x your revenue as an artist. How you can make 4 times as much as you are making right now. Okay? And this isn't a guarantee that this works for you. I'm sharing what worked for me and what I actually did. Right? So the things that I'm talking here about on this YouTube channel, they're not just made up. I can tell you this right now. They're not made up. I actually tested these things. I've actually done it, right? And I know there are a lot of business coaches out there coaching artists that actually haven't ever sold a single piece. And I wonder how you do that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're testing out on artists. You're like, okay, this strategy, these are great business strategies. Let's test it out on an artist and see what happens. So I can imagine, some business principles are the same, if it's now art or not, but art is a little bit differently. It requires a different approach, right? So it's not like other businesses. It's basically you are in the luxury business, in the luxury market, okay? You're not fulfilling a need with your art. You're not really helping someone. Indirectly you do, especially if you have a mission, right? But it's more subtle. It's more subtle as an artist. So you need to know what you're doing. You need to do things right. And not saying that I'm doing everything right and that I'm having all the answers, but as I said, I've done some things right and got actually the results. So I started selling my art for roughly 1,000. Right? I charged 1,000 Swiss francs for a larger piece. It's like 1 meter on 1 meter. Okay? I hope the light is good, by the way. It's a bit dark today, but anyways. So yeah, 1,000 for 1 on 1 meter painting. That's how much I charged in the beginning. And then I basically doubled my income, but just, charging 4,000. So I 4x'd my prices. And in a short period of time, within like 2 months, I made the decision. My art didn't get better. I didn't get into more galleries or got some approval from a museum or agent or whatever, or had won some kind of award or something like that. No, nothing like that, nothing. I literally just raised my price. The first person that wanted a painting from me, what I told them? It's 4,000. You know what they said? They said, okay, I'll take it. Amazing, changed my life. And from then on, I kept having these high prices. Again, I already hear some doubts and already hear some concerns from artists about that. And I'm not saying this is the only way, right? There are multiple ways to 4x your income or even double it. Doubling your income is already great, right? There are multiple ways. But I know one thing for sure. Raising your price is probably the easiest and fastest way to do that. But yeah, there are a lot of nuances that come into play here. A lot of things that you have to consider. I'm aware of that. It's for many not as easy as just like, oh, I'm raising my price, done. Thanks for telling me, right? It's like almost too simplistic. And I know that. I once raised my prices when I wasn't ready and I didn't talk to anyone anymore. I sabotaged my success basically through not talking to anyone. Because honestly, I was afraid that I get rejected, right? So yeah, this isn't the best way to do it. So when I raised my price, I felt quite confident in doing so. But as I said, I didn't get any approval, acknowledgement, or whatever. The only thing that I got was a business coach that never sold art, and basically was naive enough to say, yes, you can charge them much, for sure. I even said, like, isn't this a bit much? Should I not, first maybe double my prices? He's like, nope, do what I tell you. I'm like, okay, what can I lose? If it doesn't work, I can blame him. You know what I mean? That was kind of the thinking. And to be honest, that helped. That helped a lot. But it was also like him believing that this is possible. Because alone, I didn't really believe that this is possible. That's also why I didn't raise my prices. And you know what? The guy that bought the painting for 4,000, a month or 2 months later, he bought another one for 4,000. And that makes a huge difference. That's like 8,000 instead of 2,000. That's a huge difference. That's a 4x. That immediately 4x my income. And just from one single decision, I haven't changed anything else. Okay, one thing I changed though, yeah, which we need to talk about, is I started taking massive action. So I was becoming very proactive. But you probably also heard it, like, when the demand is high, then you can raise your prices if you really have a high demand. But instead of waiting for high demand, I created high demand through talking to more people than I have ever before. Through talking to so many people, I created more demand. It's very simple, right? Talking to more people are interested. And before that, I haven't talked to many people at all. And then I was wondering why nobody's buying. Or why I'm like afraid to lose a client, and that's why I charge just $1,000. And I have a lot of artists that I'm talking to, they put all their eggs into one customer or two customers. And then when they don't buy, they're like super disappointed and frustrated. But that's not how it works. You need to have a few conversations, 10, 20 conversations going on. Imagine if you have like 30 people that actually want to buy your art. Will you be disappointed and frustrated if like 1, 2 say no or they ghost you? No. A little bit maybe, we are human, but on the other hand, you're like, so what? I have so many people that still want to buy, right? You know what? You move on, you go to the next one because you have so many interested people, right? So that's the place you want to get to, and that's what I started doing. I started taking massive action. I took my art career very, very seriously, and I started showing up differently, and that's why I was able to charge 4,000 because, again, now I was talking to so many people. If they say no, like if 5 say no, I still have another 5 that maybe say yes or are interested. Maybe 2 of the 5 that I still have conversations with buy something for the price, right? So that removes a lot of doubt and scarcity in your own mind. It removes the whole question like, what if they don't buy? That's gone because you have always more people to talk to. But how do you get to this point, like where you have so many people to talk to? Let's talk about that. But before that, I need some more color here, a bit more here. I have gold. I have like how do you call this? Turquoise, yeah? Turquoise, I think that's how you say it. Dark blue and white. Some of my favorite colors. And I bought something that I thought is white, but it's a cleaner, thinner. Maybe I can use this, but not sure. Hopefully I have still enough white. So, yeah. So how do you get to the point where you have so many customers to talk to that you're not even bothered by someone saying no, and where you're also getting confident enough in charging more just because you have so many interested buyers? That's how you create your own demand, by being proactive. So let's talk about my strategy. Again, I'm not here to tell you like my strategy is the only strategy. There are a lot of things that work. There are 1,000 ways to Rome, right? You heard this before, but I tested it out. I've done it and it worked for me really well. And it's still, the strategy works if you apply yourself, right? If you actually do it. Because I just taught the same strategy to an artist in 2024, so last year. And she was really great. She took action. She really applied herself. She did what I told her she should do. She just applied the whole strategy step by step. And by the way, this strategy doesn't require you any website. It doesn't require you to have a big following or all that stuff. Because honestly, I didn't have any of that. Like I did a website, but it was more like to show my art. But I had no idea that's a skill. That's a skill you have to learn if you want to sell on your website. Somehow it didn't make sense for me. I didn't know how I get so many people on my website, so that they're starting to buy. So I just didn't focus on my website at all. And at the same time, I didn't have a big Instagram following. And I wouldn't be anywhere near where I'm today if I would have focused on getting followers and fame. And some of you might think you need to be famous to make a living from your art, which is completely a limiting belief. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but it's not a necessity, right? So yeah, let's talk about it. Now I'm putting some of this on here. It looks already very cool. I hope this painting comes out well because I just saw I don't have much white left. We're going to need to experiment a little bit here. But so I'm going to focus a little bit more on gold. All you need for this to work is you need to have art, not even too much art, right? There's also like some limiting belief. You need to have a full series of 20 paintings. Who told you that? Why would you create 20 products if you don't even know if the product sells? This is just happening in the art world. In the art world, we do things really weirdly. Now, no, not we. I did things differently. That's why it worked. Not saying it's a bad thing to have 20 artworks, but it's not needed. This takes time, energy, and money to do, right? But you can get started earlier. You can get started with a handful of paintings, with 2 paintings, 3 paintings, because you can sell them. I really believe that if you focus on selling one painting, and let's say you just have 1 or 2 paintings, but you really focus on selling that piece or these pieces, you're gonna put more attention on it. You're gonna put more, like probably a better story, more meaning, and all of these things. And you're gonna promote that more. You post it more. You show it to more people. On one point, they will buy it. Someone will buy it, right? So you don't need tons of paintings or a whole series to get started with this. The only thing you need is a Facebook profile, right? Facebook profile, 1, 2 paintings at least. If you have more, great. And then, of course, the willingness to be proactive, to get out of your own way, get out of your comfort zone and do the work. And then, once you have these things, you want to think about your ideal client. And again, I hear so many, I get a lot of questions from artists because I have a mastermind with artists. And so I get a lot of questions and I hear some concerns. It's like, I found my niche through my why, right? That really was helpful. Because just focusing on my art didn't make sense because I'm doing abstract art. Who is my niche based on my abstract art? Or like abstract art lovers, kind of, right? You're not going to find anything good with that focus, right? Because I actually started like this. I went then into Facebook groups and looked for these art collector groups, abstract art lovers, and the only thing that I found were other artists. Okay, so from experience, I know that this doesn't really work. I mean, it can work. There are always exceptions, but it's not very effective. So what I did is focusing on my why. What is my purpose, my mission as an artist? What am I really trying to bring into the world through my art? Okay, so I focused really, really on that. Got very clear on that. And the more I got clear on it, the more I realized who my ideal customer is. And they were not like, it wasn't about demographics, how old they are. I mean, I saw a pattern. This were mostly women, 35 plus or 40 plus, right? But it was more about the psychographic, right? How they're thinking, what they stand for, what they stand against, all these things. Because they were talking the same language as I am. And I am a personal growth enthusiast, right? I love personal growth. I've been focusing on it since I'm 18. I'm also into spirituality. But not too much anymore because I realize there are a lot of people that have like a spiritual ego, which is not the point of spirituality, which is funny, right? So I've had some experience with like spiritual people and stuff. I mean, there are lots of great spiritual people, obviously. Really, there are a lot. But I'm just saying that I transition more like towards, you could even call it grounded spirituality, right? Personal growth, grounded spirituality, practical spirituality, not woo-hoo things. And so, yeah, and then I knew exactly who is my ideal customer based on the beliefs, what they stand for, what they stand against, how they are thinking, what they want for their life, how they dream, think, all these things. I got to know them kind of. And then I was looking for groups where I knew that they are hanging out exactly in these kind of groups. And I can give you some examples. Try to find your own groups because it's more powerful if it's authentic to you, right? So these groups, nobody gave me these groups. I was thinking about these groups based on my ideal customer, okay? But I give you examples like Eckhart Tolle. Actually, the first book I ever read when I was 18 was from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of the Now. So that really, really resonates with my story, my why, my purpose, my ideal customer as well. So I joined Eckhart Tolle groups, Tony Robbins. I joined Joe Dispenza and so many more groups that I probably even forget about. Marissa Peer, manifestation groups. But I noticed what works really well is groups that are more specific because that's all almost like, these are like different coaches and authors, mentors within the spirituality, manifestation, personal growth space. But if I would just think within the box and not get creative and go deeper, I would, and I did that, I looked for manifestation groups, spirituality groups. I put in spirituality, meditation, manifestation, law of attraction, and these groups were usually not very good. The groups that had more like this community feeling, they were much, much better. Okay? So these are the kind of groups I joined. So what you need to do is just think about your why. Why do you create the art you create today? What's your purpose? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? And really like journal a bit on it. And and then find groups based on that, not based on your art style. Also, when you just focus on your art style, you're going to compete with a ton of artists because there are so many artists. But if you focus on your mission, your purpose, you're basically creating a blue ocean, right? You're doing something where nobody can compete with you because nobody has the same story like you, nobody has the same mission like you. And especially like the combination, you might do landscape, which a lot of other artists do too, but you have a specific mission, a special mission, like your own story and then landscape. It's also the combination that makes it very unique of all the things, and these things come all together and make you also very interesting as an artist because people want to get to know you. Who are you? What are you thinking? Why do you paint what you paint? What's your process? What's the meaning of your work? Who are you? What's your story? People, like buyers, are interested in that kind of stuff, okay? So once I had these groups, I literally just posted in there. And even there, you don't need to overthink. I have a process of like, telling your story. But a lot of artists, they don't want to be vulnerable or they don't want to, share certain things, which I completely understand. But just introducing yourself is already, so I had no space on my phone anymore. And I realized you cannot really like see me painting. I also wanted to film it with this phone. So I have different footage ready. What I was saying is like just introducing yourself in the group, make it relevant to the group. That's very important. It has to be relevant, otherwise they might not accept your post or see it as spam. But if you make it relevant to the group, which I did, is I just shared like how Tony Robbins changed my life. That I read the Eckhart Tolle book, The Power of the Now. One of my first books that I read that changed my life. And so I just do this with the introduction or the story that I'm sharing. And that's great. And then I even had someone that yesterday talked to one of our students. What she did a lot, which worked really well for her, is she went into groups and basically shared a painting with her. That's very important. Always with you. People connect to people first before they connect to your art. Very important. Always with you, not just your art. But I need to look there. Not just your art, okay? You and the artwork. That's very important. And if you do that, they're going to accept it. And what she did, she shared her artwork and told the story about the art with her in the picture, but made it still relevant to the group, okay? That's important. If you do that, and you do it right, you find some good groups, you're going to get lots of likes and comments. What you do then is like being proactive. Send every single person a message that liked, commented. Every single person. Send friends requests, because then they see your message. If they cannot accept, like if some people you cannot send a friends request to, then it lands in the spam, but send a message anyway. Some people check their spam. So once you post it in the group and you send everyone a message, just saying thanks so much for liking my post, or thanks so much for your comment on my post, I really appreciate it. Then your job is to plant a lot of seeds and build relationships. That is your most important job, okay? You do this with as many people as possible, and then jump with them on a call. Only jumping with them on a call is already gonna basically enable you to charge way more, because you're adding so much more value than just the artwork. You taking the time, talking with them an hour, getting to know them, that's value. You telling an inspiring story, sharing more about your art, showing them your art, like a studio tour, that's more value. And just like the relationship with you as an artist is more valuable for them. Your artwork instantly increases in value, because art in its essence is anyways just perceived value. The question is, how can you bring up the perceived value so that you can charge 4 times more and then 4x your income, okay? But that's what you do, okay? Plant seeds, have conversations. How do you have the conversations? Don't overcomplicate it. It's all about getting to know people. Just have conversations about anything, about what you guys are passionate about. Obviously, always have your art in the background. And you are an artist, so that goes naturally into the conversation. They might even ask, hey, you're an artist, can you show me some of your art? Or is this your artwork? The conversation naturally will go into your art, into the conversation about your art. And then I made it a mission to always ask if they would be interested in one of your artworks. Maybe they're even like super inspired by one of your specific artworks that you showed them. Ask them if they would like to own it. Yeah, that's simple. Is it easy? No, because it's scary, right? It was scary for me too, but I did it anyways. And it made me a lot of sales, right? So what do you want? Do you want to be scared your whole life? To do something new, to try something out of your comfort zone? Yeah, you might get rejected. Some people might say no, but this is not personal. This is not about you. It's never about you, right? So if you don't give it a chance and you actually really try out this strategy, but by the way, like whatever you do, if you do Instagram, if you do exhibitions or whatever it is, Your job as an artist is always to connect to people. That's always your job. Yeah, it is really, it is simple. It sounds maybe too easy to be true, but it's not. It's simple, but not easy, because we all have fears, right? We have certain fears, or we are shy, or we say we are introverted, and all these things. And these are exactly the things that are holding us back. And we have to decide, do I want to really make this happen? Do I want to 4x my income? If the answer is yes, or if you just want to double it, or just maybe you're not even selling anything yet, or just a little bit here and there. If you really want to just sell more, make a living, which is totally possible, you have to become someone different. You cannot stay the same person, do the same things, think the same thoughts you've always been doing. You know, these are all patterns, and these thoughts, emotions, actions, or inaction got you to where you are right now. If you want a different life, you have to do things differently, right? So who do you need to become to be a successful artist? What does this even mean for you? And then, yeah, who do you need to become? How do you need to show up every single day, right? That's your job. To think about that, get clear about that, and start taking action. Okay, don't stay stuck in the consuming mode as well, because I see a lot of artists just consume more and more, which helps. Yeah, actually, it does help, because it helped me a lot. Like when I started, I read Maria's book, Art, Money, Success, who is my business partner, by the way, if you don't know yet. And it really inspired me. Just reading that brought my mind into, yeah, the art, like what I want to achieve as an artist. So it was very, very helpful. If you want to know more and want my help and Maria's help, she sold millions in art, check the link in the description, join our community, and otherwise check more videos, because I have so many great videos here, so much knowledge that I'm sharing, and I'm really sharing everything. So hope this was helpful, and see you in the next video. Peace, peace, peace.